Tonight on The Struggle, teaching empathy to the emotionally void, working out what merits a high five in the face, and we launch Australia's latest tourism campaign. The federal budget was handed down last week and followed a pretty predictable pattern. The government spruiked it, the opposition hammered it, and the Greens' response was largely ignored. But with Labor leader Anthony Albanese describing the budget as having all the sincerity of a fake tan, it's good to know ScoMo's now got beauty therapy, as well as hairdressing to fall back on in life after politics. Despite these attempts to upskill, the PM is still lacking some pretty key leadership qualities. So here, with some timely tips, is empathy coach Jenny.
Thanks, Ren, sweetie. With the election looming, I've been working very hard recently. It sure has been tricky getting the Liberal government up to speed. As they often like to do in the lead up to the election, they've been mentioning a bit about women's issues. My idea, by the way. It's genius. Defame powerful women all year, do nothing about rape allegations in Parliament, and then boom, roll out the empathy carpet just before you call the election. Last week's empathy classes were private, one-on-ones with Scott. We were going through the basics. Look down when you hear something sad. Nod like you care when someone tells you they want change. And for goodness sake, Scott, just wipe that bloody smirk off your face. Anyway, that's when my epiphany came. We've been using these same techniques to lie to the Australian people for 4 years now, and they're starting to get a little suspicious, I told him. We can't keep relying on words. Scott, it's time to break out the big guns. It's time for Operation Crybaby. And with that, we began our crying lessons. 8-hour intensive these things were. I just needed the perfect opportunity to use this crying thing to use. When he told me he was forced to re-announce a support plan for women's health issues in order to get those female votes up, I knew this would be a perfect opportunity for a cheeky emotional moment. Trust me, women will fall for this, I told him. When the day came, Scott was quite nervous. I told him to listen to his training and he'd be right. We had it perfectly rehearsed. He'd start pretty normally, but when he got up to his part about where he'd speak about listening to women's devastating stories, that's where he'd choke up. That was the cue.
I just listened to heartbreaking story after.
He'd pause halfway through repeating the word the second time and look down immediately with pure, fake sadness. One hand goes up, ever so slightly, as if to say, bear with me, I'll get through this. A few seconds of silence would be necessary to convince everyone that he really was just pulling himself together. At this moment, as he was looking down, he'd blink a few times too many, just to make his eyes a little more glassy than usual. When it was time to continue speaking, both hands would go into a subtle prayer position while his voice would crack ever so slightly as if to say, please believe this crap. He'd collect himself after that and get back on track. I did tell him not to make that stupid smirk he always does directly after having a cry, but he can never seem to follow that instruction. We'll get there.
Thanks, Jenny. With Ramadan kicking off for Australia's Muslim community, let's now head over to our food correspondent to see what is or isn't cooking in the kitchen.
Thanks, Ren. This week is a special week for Muslims as Ramadan is finally arrived, which might be wondering what Ramadan is. Well, Ramadan is basically a holy month for Muslims, and they use this opportunity to get closer to God, spend quality time with friends and family, and basically reflect on themselves. However, everyone, except those who are sick and elderly, are expected to fast. So, there's there. Everyone during daylight hours are expected to not eat or drink. It doesn't matter. It might be challenging not to eat or drink for an entire day, but I'm going to show you my secret of going through a Ramadan day. Now, there is a particular meal that you can eat during Ramadan hours. Yes, a meal. Only I know this. No one else knows. Only me. And it's called the nihil nishinada. And it is very delicious. And I'm going to show you how to cook it. And for those who are wondering what it means nothing. And all you need is 2 eggs of nothing, a delicious nothinella, a packet of nothing, and last but not least, to top it all off, some nothing cream. Very, very delicious. Now let's get cooking. Now, why is it that Muslims fast? It's for a number of reasons. It's not for the Instagram cloud, for some but usually fasting actually reminds people of how to be hungry and actually show compassion for the poor. And it also, people seek forgiveness for their past sins. And people fast because they want to get closer to God, like they're praying or by reading becoming devout to God. Look at this. This is so beautiful. Look at this. Oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. Let me do it for you. Easy. It's an easy flip. That is awesome. That is awesome. Oh my goodness. That is delicious. Very, very delicious. That's after nothing clean. Whew. Oh my goodness. Very delicious. Look at that. And that's it. That's a normal day of how a Muslim goes through a day of fasting. It's currently 18:34, which means I can eat and drink again. Finally. I'm gonna enjoy this burger right here. And I still have 30 more days before I can eat normally and drink normally again. I'm just gonna enjoy this burger. Thanks, guys. Back to the studio.
Interesting insights. We're off to a short break. Welcome back. And now to this week's pressing issue. The grand finale of Australian Survivor goes to air tonight, hosted by the ever-fit Jonathan LaPaglia. But prior to becoming a reality TV host, JLP was an accomplished actor and played a leading role in the 2011 ABC drama series The Slap. So for this reason, and this reason only, we went around asking people their thoughts on slapping.
Now that everyone's into slapping one another, I'm here at Monash University's Clayton campus to find out who students would like to slap. So who would you like to slap?
Probably Kanye West.
Kanye West.
Oh, well, I've heard everyone's going with Kanye West, so I'll go with Pete Davidson.
Oh, and how would you like to do it? Backhand or front hand?
I'll give him a backhander. Why not?
He looks like you give him a backhand. That kind of face, yeah.
A full backhanded slap.
Yeah, full backhand. Get him right there.
Very nice. Who would you like to slap?
Myself right now, because I'm annoyed at myself.
Yeah, her.
Probably him.
I see. How would you like to do it?
Backhander.
Backhand. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Would you like to? And how would you like to slap yourself?
Just like that, as hard as possible.
I love the self-love. Well, that's about it. I hope that you too will be able to find someone to slap today. Peace and love.
Looks like the tribe has spoken. Well, with Will Smith declaring he is a work in progress, we thought we'd get the insights of a fellow work in progress. So we cross now to alpha male Max Payne.
Welcome, fellow alphas, to the Payne-cast. I'm Max Payne, and I'm so alpha I got a lifetime ban from Anytime Fitness for being too loud. Guess they couldn't handle my dominating presence. Ha ha ha! Bros, this week I want to talk about a group of pretentious, self-obsessed entertainers that meet up once a year just to engage in the world's biggest circle jerk. No, I'm not talking about my annual poker night with the boys. I'm talking about the Academy Awards. Academy. Like anyone needs to go to school. Just pick up a shovel, go down to your nearest mine shaft, and get a job. Be a man! Anyway, I know we've all gone on and on over the past week about that moment when Oscar the fish slapped Marty the zebra. Great slap, by the way, good form. But I want to talk about something that no one else has ever had the balls to address. That's right, bros. I'm going to talk about the Oscars diversity problem. This year saw the first Muslim and the first two South Asians ever to win an award for Best Live Action Short Film. The first openly queer Afro-Latina to win Best Supporting Actress, the first Latina producer to win any Academy Award at all, the third woman to win Best Director, the fifth black man to win Best Actor, and to top it all off, a movie featuring a mostly deaf ensemble became the first of its kind to win Best Picture. You see the problem here? You see where I'm going with this? Where are all the white men? Why can't white men win awards anymore? There weren't even any white male presenters. They even went so far as to claim that white men can't jump. Well, folks, I can't stand for that. Like, I gotta prove to you right now, white men can jump. Oh. You know, I miss the good old days when the Oscars were hosted by strong men like James Franco, Seth MacFarlane, Ellen DeGeneres. But worry not, dear listeners. I've got the solution. Think about it. Bear with me here. Make men eligible to win Best Actress. Now stay with me. Women, we all know, don't have to work as hard to act because they're inherently emotional. So don't men deserve the award more anyway? Like, we all know how impossible it is for men to express their emotions. Like, for God's sake, I haven't expressed an emotion other than anger for the past 20 years, god damn it! That does remind me. I was supposed to be at court-ordered anger management therapy about 30 minutes ago, so I'm gonna have to wrap the podcast up. I'm gonna have to cut it short right there. So, until next time, bros. And remember, true alphas never use sunscreen. No pain, no gain. Alright, see you next week. Max out!
Oh, is he done? Right, well, let's head over to Linda Crawford in Brighton to see how the bourgeoisie is faring this week. Thank you, Ren. Looking lovely today, darling. If I'm being honest, the last couple of weeks have actually been a bit stressful. Yeah, it hasn't been easy, darling. Ever since the news that public housing might be built on my street, I've been having pretty sleepless nights. I even tried changing my bedding to 100% pure linen, and even that couldn't help. Like, there are so many places in Melbourne. So many. So why even discuss building public housing in Brighton? Especially in Brighton's best street. It just doesn't make any sense to me, really. I mean, poor people don't need views or fresh air. These are luxuries, darling. There is no point putting a, low-income family in the best street in Brighton. Like, the kids they just won't mix. I make sure my little Olivia is always geared with the latest sneakers and iPhone. She can't be going to school with people who still have an iPhone 7. Ew, I just won't allow it. If we ever see an iPhone with a home button, we make sure to cross to the other side of the street. But just to clarify, I am saying all of this for the benefit of the other kids, of course. We can't have them feeling left out. Now, the other day, during Pilates with Love, Wendy Lovell, Liberal MP, come on darling, keep up. Anyway, we were chatting about work, and in all honesty, she inspired me. Wendy is in politics and has a proper platform to discuss the real issues, like public housing in Brighton. She was actually the MP that brought this extremely important and very, very, very serious issue to light.
It's no point putting a very low income, probably welfare dependent family in the best street in Brighton.
Women like us have a lot to add to politics and public discussion, and that's why it is with great excitement that I announce that this election I am running for a seat in Parliament. I can't change the past, but I can shape the future. For instance, I know that everyone is, quite interested in sustainability at the moment, and that's why I want to legislate government-funded Botox for women over 40. If we want our beautiful faces to continue looking youthful through all of the hot days and natural disasters climate change is throwing at us, we are going to need more Botox, guys. So vote number 1. Linda. I'm passionate about making Brighton and the world a better place. You won't regret it, darling. I'm sure your policies will raise some eyebrows, Linda. Quite literally. Anyway, we'll be back after the break.
Australia, home to the land of kangaroos, koalas, and a candidate called Catter. It's a land of diverse culture, equal opportunities, and most importantly, according to a sizable number of Australian men, no gender inequality. That's right. As a recent survey by Ipsos and the Global Institute for Women's Leadership found, 30% of Australian men believe gender inequality doesn't exist. Ignoring what women have to say about gender inequality because, well, why break with history? Doesn't Australia sound like an egalitarian paradise? A place where you can expect to relax, be one with nature in the outback, and for women to get intimate with their husbands and boyfriends, even when they don't want to. Let me tell you, as a Malaysian, it feels just like home with the appalling human rights abuses of women we've all learned to live with. So it's refreshing to know there's another country where the men really know how to put their women back into place. So book a flight today to get all this and more right here in Australia.
Oi, show us your tits.
If that's not enough to convince you to come to the land down under, I really don't know what else to tell you. Because I really am comfortable here. Really.
Welcome back again. Time now for our latest instalment of What I Didn't Learn at Uni. This week featuring the Lord Mayor of Melbourne, Sally Capp.
Thanks, Ren. So Lord Mayor Sally Capp was quoted in the paper this week saying that international students are needed in Melbourne, living in Melbourne, to bring back our post-pandemic city back to life. So did she learn this, how to do this at uni? Let's find out. So welcome, Lord Mayor Sally Capp. It's great to have you on board.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So before we start, so how should I address you? Should I call you as Councillor or Lord Mayor Sally Capp or?
Your Excellency. No teasing. Just Sally would be fine. Thank you, Bharat.
Okay. So tell me, Sally. So did you learn how to be a mayor when you were at uni?
A mayor?
Yeah.
No, I learned how to do all the naughty things you want to do before you have to be responsible as a mayor.
So you didn't learn how to be a mayor at uni?
It's a bit of both, isn't it, as life goes on?
Yeah. So did you learn how to party when you were at uni though?
Well, I had some pretty good lead-in skills, I would say, but I really took it to the next level at university. I have more vivid memories of my social life at university than I do of my study.
So in your opinion, are there any places, specific places in Melbourne where you want us to party?
Oh, gosh, of course. Well, I'm going to say all those fantastic pubs, cafes and restaurants around town. And look, around universities and a lot of our higher education institutions in the city of Melbourne, they have the most incredible spaces as well, whether it's an underground car park or it's a quadrangle or it's, you know, a special tree. So I think people should be adventurous and really make the most. But if you can support local traders, that'd be appreciated.
So would you offer financial incentives for us to throw a party?
Oh, what a good question. Well, we have some amazing grant programs that are available. If you want to put on an event, particularly if you're, for example, promoting events to international students and international students getting to know the city, we are all for those ideas. So if you've got a good idea, bring it to us, and you've now got my contact details. So feel free to pepper me.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So bring people together for some fun, showcase the city and really enhance people's university experience. We're all for that at the City of Melbourne.
Delightful. Now let's head over to Karen Kvetch from Neighbourhood Watch to see what bone she's got to pick this week.
Growing up, I was always told that life is not a popularity contest. But these TikTok stars just keep proving me wrong with their cult followings and 5 seconds of undeserved fame. Now, they may pose a threat to the very fabric of our society with the undue influence that they've accrued. Last year, A-list TikTok star Tom Cashman thought himself to be quite the funny man when he turned the tables on his landlord and demanded a reference from a previous tenant as part of his rental application. When this ridiculous request backfired, he turned to his digi soapbox for his typical capitalism sucks type whinge. As much as I was hoping that this nonsense would land on deaf ears, our very own politicians are having a field day with it. For just a moment, I'd like to turn to our dear leaders in Canberra. Need I remind you, you work for me. I don't work for you. We pay you good money to provide a service. Therefore, it is absolutely ridiculous that I'm having to remind you of how ludicrous it is that you are turning to TikTok to run our country. The utter disrespect of it. What's next? Will Instagram filters be made a criminal offence for fraud? Or on the contrary, will young men be locked up for accusing young women of catfishing on these obscene little dating apps? I never know which way things will go with this festering woke culture. All I do know is that if I'm going to keep my 3 rental properties afloat and retire with my hard-earned money, I don't need some Joe blogs from Brunswick getting smart with me.
Karen Gavette highlighting the joy that TikTok brings to so many millions of people. Anyway, time for a look now at the latest trends on the stock market.
Thanks, Ren. Today, we're taking a look at the hottest trends that are hitting the mark. That's right, we are looking at what slaps right now. Here we go. Any tote bag and uni student combo? Slaps. This Franklin drink bottle that can be seen in the hands of every person under the age of 30? Slaps. Any TikTok filter that not only gives you longer lashes and rosy cheeks, but also slips in a cute little rhinoplasty? Slaps. Curtain bangs? Slap. Bubble tea? Slaps. Literally any item of clothing that is the color of slaps. Pocket money from our generous treasurer? Slaps. Any set of stupidly long fake nails that make even the simplest of tasks impossible? Slap. Will Smith? Slaps.
Oh, wow!
Well, that's this week's list of hot trends that definitely slaps. Look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a fantastic week. Back to you, Ren.
Thanks, Steph. Now it's time to check on the weather.
The federal budget was delivered on Tuesday, but there is still low visibility on whether it will help the rich get richer or the poor get poorer. Either way, Scott Morrison must be feeling the heat as Australians question whether this cost of living case study is fooling anyone into believing the Liberal Party suddenly values cultural diversity or gender equality. High humidity also has Josh Frydenberg sweating under the collar as fears loom of whether citizens will notice the plans to spend more on violence than ending violence against women and children. And finally, while fossil fuel cuts were afforded plenty of cloud coverage, it remains to be seen whether the Great Barrier Reef will settle for that extra billion-dollar handout or continue whistleblowing on climate change. It will show its colors, I am sure. Whether any of this will change the fate of the upcoming election is still unclear, unlike ScoMo's "This is cold, don't be afraid" speech, which still lives rent-free in all of our minds.
This is cold.
Thanks, Farron. Well, that brings this show to a close. If there's one thing we've learned this week, it's not to pick on people for their hair loss issues. So from now on, we won't be discussing ScoMo's hairless head, we won't be calling Barnaby Joyce a bold badger, but we will continue to call Peter Dutton a potato, because there's no denying he's a spud. Until next week, the struggle, it's real. Thank you.